Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Batman issue 62. And it has a Frank Miller variant, so I had to pick that up because I like it. It's not bad. You know, Frank Miller seems to be getting worse and worse in his drawings. I don't know if this is an old drawing, but it seems, well, one of the few Frank Miller modern day drawings that it actually looks decent. He's really losing it. I don't know if it's because of his age or if he's got some sort of illness or what's going on, but in any event, he's still Frank Miller, so you got to get it, right? But yeah, beautiful cover. This is the cover to get, obviously, with the Mitch Gerads great cover. That's the Pig character, Mr. Pig, or Dr. Pig, as his name is. And Little Bat, let me in. This is a storyline that continues the Nightmare storyline. Now, guys, we got to back up a little bit here because, first of all, let me just say this is going to be another negative review. This is another typical Tom King confusion mess. Appears to be going nowhere, and I would bet my life that it will in fact go nowhere. But Tom King will think that it does. But let's just backtrack here. Let's go back to issue 60. At the end of issue 60, we know that the Flashpoint Batman has taken out Alfred and is right behind Batman. Now, at the end of issue 60, it was all excitement. What's happening? Oh my God, Flashpoint Batman is finally making a move on Batman. What's happening? And then right in issue 61 then, we had a storyline called Suddenly Indeed, where suddenly we're reintroduced again to Master Bruce, which is a young insane kid that thinks he's Bruce Wayne and thinks every criminal he comes across killed his parents, the Waynes. Insane. So we were deprived of knowing the cliffhanger of issue 60. It wasn't addressed in 61. Instead, we got this Nightmares Part 1, and we're introduced to Master Wayne, which we were already introduced to this stupid kid back in issue 38. So why were we introduced to him again? And we learned nothing new about him, other than the fact that at the end of it, he's being moved to Arkham Asylum, where I guessed maybe he'd be introduced to Flashpoint Batman, and maybe Flashpoint Batman would be the mentor to a screwed up, psychotic little kid called Master Bruce. But now we get part 2 of Nightmares. And it shows Batman suddenly waking up, and he's hanging upside down, and he's being tortured by Dr. Pig. And again, I don't know if any of this is real. The dialogue goes all over the place. Once again, it's nonsensical. Or rather, it's not nonsensical. What it is, it's Batman talking about how he's getting out. So Batman's hanging upside down, his hands are tied behind him, and he's talking about how he gets out, and he's swallowing blood, and horror, yada, yada, yada. What of it? Batman, basically, at the end, he tries to escape, and he does escape. He confronts the Pig, and at the end, the Pig takes off his mask, and it's Damian. So what does any of that mean? I have no idea. Dr. Pig takes off his mask, it's Damian, and he says, "Let me in, no, by the hair of my chinny chin, then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." And then it ends with Batman with some narration saying, "Evaluate, reassess, a metaphor, a myth, a story, a dream." I don't know what this has to do with anything. If I'm speculating, I would say that Flashpoint Batman at the end of issue 60 likely knocked out Bruce Wayne, knocked out Batman, and then probably somewhere behind the scenes is Master Bruce with Flashpoint Batman. So then 61 we get the Master Bruce storyline, and then this is probably some sort of hallucination that's induced by Flashpoint Batman, and none of this is really happening. In any event, it's really a confusing mess. I don't know what it means. I really don't know what it means. Again, it's really, it's really beautifully drawn. I'm going to take this issue out because that Frank Miller variant cover, just what an inappropriate cover for this issue. Again, such a wasted, the artistic talent of Mitch Gerads wasted on just a terribly written issue. It makes no sense. It's just nonsense. Again, I hate to say that, but it just is. It just doesn't make any sense. So why is it Damian? So he's hanging upside down and he gets let loose, and all of a sudden little Dr. Pig is actually Damian, his son. What does that have to do with anything? This is so disappointing. This is just so disappointing. There's just no, the funny thing is that I bitched, whine, and complain in the past about Tom King, where he'll nonsensically throw in these stupid riddles, or he'll take a story, he'll take a Shakespearean poem and he'll throw it in, or he'll take some excerpts from other novels or famous novels in history, and then he'll put them in his comic book, and we'll try to draw some metaphors as to figuring out what's going on, and maybe the metaphor is supposed to be reflective of the story he's trying to tell. He doesn't even have that in here, although he mentions it at the end. What Batman always does in every situation, what we're supposed to get out of this, I think, is that he evaluates, he reassesses, and then he talks about a metaphor, a myth, a story, a dream. Well, is Batman the metaphor, and Batman's a metaphor, a myth? Batman's also a story, and now something's a dream? Is this all a dream? This issue is called Lost, and I hate to state the obvious, but Lost is exactly how I feel reading this. And I'm sure Tom King will say, well, I meant for the readers to get lost. And yeah, I'm sure you did. And I'm sure it's, in your own way, it's probably supposed to be profound. But no, Lost describes how I feel after reading this. It's beautifully illustrated. It really is. You really get a sense of the terror and the horror of Dr. Pig torturing Batman as he's hanging upside down, trying to get out of his bindings and trying to get away from Dr. Pig, who's going to be torturing him. And he's successful in doing that. And he's asking all these questions. How did you get here? How do I get out? Etc. Etc. Well, no kidding. But again, it doesn't advance the story. It's just, there's one little excerpt here I'm going to read. In ancient, now again, this is something that Batman's thinking, and again, Tom King once again utilizes an outside story. It says, Batman's thinking to himself, he says, in ancient Cyprus, a sculptor of unusual talent, Pygmalion, scratched and picked away at a brick of marble until he had created a wondrous woman. Examining his work, he knew the beauty of the dead stone could not be matched by the beauty of anything living. He gazed into her white eyes, ran his hand over her face, the dust of her cheek catching in his palm, and Pygmalion fell in love. Down he fell upon his knees, he prayed, he wept, he rose, and he brought his lips to the rock. I love you, he whispered as he pressed himself to her as her warm lips met his and her warm arms closed around him. Astonished, Pygmalion broke away from the kiss and she smiled. And they lived happily ever after. What does that have to do with this story? I mean, how many ums do I have to say? Honestly, I do when I edit my videos, I will at times have to edit out my ums because I sound like an idiot. I hate sounding like an idiot, but sometimes I do. But I repeatedly trying to review this comic because every time I'm avoiding saying a vulgarity. All right, this is just a frustrating comic book. See what I mean? And I also got my tooth pulled, so I got a swollen cheek. In any event, guys, I give this comic book story-wise, art-wise, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10 because it really, the art really is vibrant. It's alive. It conveys the essence of torture and horror. So Mitch Gerads does a really good job here. And I can't complain about that. But story-wise, I'm now giving this. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10. It's that because it doesn't go anywhere. It's appropriately titled Lost, but it's a disaster. It is completely broken the momentum of the excitement of issue 60. I don't recommend it. You can skip it. You can also skip the previous issue, by the way, with Master Bruce 61. So don't get it. I give it a low rating. It's not saved by the art. I'm no longer giving Tom King a pass because he's got great artists. Unless it's for Purian fanboy sexual interests like Heroes in Crisis number 4. So, at least you got material for some other activity. But this is a 0. Did I say 0? Again? I'm eyeing so much here. No, I'll stick with my 2. That's generous. I can't recommend you get it, but guys, tell me what you think. And whatever. Follow me on Twitter. Again, I wish I could give a more optimistic review. I just can't. It's that bad an issue. But if you like decent horror and Mitch Gerads art, pick it up. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. Hit the subscribe button. Until next time, I promise I'll try to be a little bit more optimistic. Comic Boom out.